Next, I want to be able to draw and modify shapes. For example, I want to enhance my worksheet here. Instead of just saying increase profits, I want to be able to create a shape around it and have it transparent so you can see through the shape to the text here, increase profits. I'm going to come up here, click on the Insert tab, go to the Illustrations group, click on the Shapes drop-down arrow, down here to Basic Shapes, and I've got my oval. Notice that I don't have a circle here. Well, that's okay. Just click on the oval shape, and then come down here, and you can do one of two things to create a circle from an oval. Well, first of all, you can see my pointer's turned into a little plus sign. When I click and drag, if I try to keep it down and to the right, I can create that perfect circle. But if I just drag horizontally, well, there's your oval. Too much vertically, and I have a vertical oval. But if I hold down the Shift key while I'm dragging, it creates the perfect circle, okay? I'm going to go ahead and let go of my mouse, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and undo that and show you another way of creating the perfect circle. Click on the Insert tab. We're going to bring our shapes back up, the oval. Click on it. And then I get my little plus sign right. If I double click really fast, it automatically creates pre-specified size of a circle. But it's a perfect circle. That's the same thing that goes with any other shapes you decide to create. For example, once I create a shape here, I can come up here to the Format tab and create additional shapes. Like there's the rectangle. Click on that. If I click and drag and I hold down the Shift key, it creates the perfect square. If I let go of it, I can do a horizontal or vertical rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and hit the undo button. Let's stick with our shape here because we want to enhance the beauty of our worksheet here. Increase profits is the focus. Once I have my circle, I can still modify it by hovering over any one of these handles here. When I hover over a handle, I get a two-way arrow. All I have to do is click and drag that out just a little bit. And so I've got my oval here. Next thing I want to do is I'd like the center or the fill color of the oval to be transparent, so that way I can see the text behind it. To do that, I can do it one of two ways. Come up here on the Format tab to the Shape Styles group, to the Shape Fill, click on the drop-down arrow. Come down here to the gradient, down to More Gradients, and then you can see the transparencies right here. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to close out, and better yet, just right-click, come down to Format Shape. There's the transparency right there. It took me one or two less clicks here. Now the focus category here is Fill. The fill right now is this color you can see right here, a little sampling of it, kind of a soft blue. Then I can click and drag the transparency here. In fact, if I click and drag this window out of the way, you can see when I go a little bit to about 80%, the color fades, so I can actually see through the circle here enough to make out the text behind it. Or I can just come in here, select it, and type in 75, hit the Tab key, and then close out. Click off in a blank area. Looks pretty good. I may have to center it up just a bit by clicking and dragging on the border to move it over just a little bit. And again, remember your arrow keys. If you don't like using your mouse, you can use your up and down arrow keys. And if you want to go in smaller increments of going up and down, hold down the Control key and then use your up or down arrow keys or your left or right arrow keys. Let's create another shape here. Like I said, as long as I have this shape selected, I do have Insert Shapes here. I can just use one of these and click on it. But if I click off, I no longer have its contextual related tab, so I can come over here to the Insert tab, and let's insert another shape. Click on the drop down arrow here. Go down into the block arrows. Let's do a down arrow. Click on it. Come over here. My mouse turns into a little plus sign you can see. And then if I double click really fast, it adds the drop down arrow. You can of course click and drag to create the shape of the arrow, then let go, but double clicking is a little bit faster for me here. And then if I need to make any changes, of course, I can hover over one of the handles here till I get a two-way arrow and then click and drag to get this arrow just a little bit wider and let go. Now, if I want to change the position of the arrow, let's say I've got increased profits and I want it to be pointing down to something else. Maybe I have another oval down here to increase profits, or the result of our increased profits is due to increased sales, is that I can rotate the shape here. And one of the ways you can do that is hovering over this little green circle there. When you hover over it, your pointer turns into a circular arrow, which means you can twist this shape. As long as you click and hold down the mouse button, you can see a bunch of little arrows now. So it's saying that it's ready for you to go ahead and go left, right, up or down, and twist it. And that looks good right there. Click off in a blank area. Of course, I can click and drag the border to move this arrow up just a bit. One other thing when it comes to rotating, when I click and I drag it, it goes smooth. But if I'm really particular about a specific angle, hold down the Shift key, and when I move it, it jumps from angle to angle. Looks like about every 10 degrees or so. So I can get it right to the degree that I would like. And maybe that's about 45 degrees right there, and just let go. Now I just want to give you a little sampling here of shapes and some of the things you can do. Now, since the focus of the Excel workbook is to be able to do calculations, creating a database, I'm not going to cover too much about shapes or pictures or clip art or things like that and how to modify and manipulate them. If you watch the PowerPoint or our word training videos, I go much more in depth in those videos because those are more presentational than Excel is. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as soon as I upload a new video, you'll be notified instantly, and you can do that by coming over here and clicking on my face. You can also click here to support me, so for $2 a month, you can have access to over 2,700 training videos, all ad-free, and for a few bucks more, you can have access to my exercises, instructor notes, quizzes, certificate of completion, and a whole lot more.